Welcome to our deep dive into the fascinating and sometimes confusing world of language learning.
It definitely would be confusing, yeah.
Right. So today, we are looking at a really interesting stack of sources. We have notes from English as a second language curriculums. We have university research papers on um, something called language interference.
Which is a huge topic.
It is. And we also have a collection of real-world examples from bilingual classrooms. We have a very specific mission today.
Yes, we do.
We are doing a literal translation detox. And this is designed especially for you, our Spanish-speaking listener, who is working so hard to master English.
And that is exactly what the research in front of us focuses on today. When you learn a new language, your brain, well, it naturally wants to use the rules it already knows.
Of course it does.
Right. This university data on language interference explains that your native language actually interferes or, gets in the way of the new language.
It blocks you.
Exactly. So today, we're going to clear out some of those old habits. And because this is a lesson, we will speak slowly, clearly, and patiently.
We really want to make sure these ideas make complete sense without rushing through anything.
Definitely.
So when I was looking through these curriculum notes, I kept seeing this idea of the dictionary trap, or what teachers call literal translation.
Right, the dictionary trap.
Yeah, and we need to talk about why our brains do this.
Yeah.
It is like trying to build a house, right? You know how to build a house in Spanish.
You know where all the rooms go.
Exactly. So you take one English brick and you try to put it in the exact same place you would put a Spanish brick.
Which, makes perfect sense logically. You are trying to do a word-for-word mapping.
Right.
You look at a thought in your head, you find the Spanish word, you search for the exact English copy of that word, and you just paste it right into your sentence.
Copy and paste.
Yeah, but the problem the research points out is that English and Spanish are completely different architectural designs.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
If you just copy and paste the bricks, the whole house falls down. The sentence sounds very confusing to a native speaker.
I think we have a perfect example to show exactly what you mean by that copy-paste habit.
Oh, the pizza example.
Yes, the pizza example. Let's look at one of the most common errors highlighted in our ESL sources. Imagine we are coworkers. Okay.
Okay, I am ready.
We are taking a break, and I look over at you and I say, hey, do you want to get pizza for lunch today?
And if I am falling into the dictionary trap, I might smile and reply, yes, I am agree.
Let's stop right there. Let's really look at that sentence. Yes, I am agree.
It happens all the time.
It does. If you are listening right now, you might have said this before. It is incredibly common. But to native ears, I am agree immediately sounds broken.
It does. It sounds like the house fell down.
Right. So our goal today is not just to correct you, but to explain exactly why this happens in your brain so you never make the mistake again.
And to fix the mistake, we really have to look at the psychology behind it. The linguistic research we have shows a major difference between the Spanish mindset and the English reality.
Let's break down the Spanish side first.
Okay. So in Spanish, when you want to say yes to an idea, you say, estoy de acuerdo.
Right. And if we look at those Spanish words, estoy translates to I am.
Yeah.
Is the verb to be.
Oh, yes.
You're describing your current state. And the acuerdo means something like in agreement. So the Spanish brain is using a state of being plus extra descriptive words. You're describing where you are mentally.
Yes, but the English language approaches this concept from a completely different direction.
This is the tricky part.
It is. In English, the word agree is not a description. It is an action word. In grammar, we call an action word a verb.
A verb.
Right. The word agree is a verb all by itself. It means the action of sharing an opinion. You do not need to add I am because the word agree is already doing all of the work.
I want to make sure the concept of a verb is perfectly clear because it really is the secret to fixing this habit.
It is the key to everything.
Right. So a verb is an action. Think about the word jump.
Okay, jump.
If you bend your knees and push yourself into the air, that is the action of jumping. You would never look at me and say, I am jump.
No, you wouldn't. That is a very helpful way to visualize it, actually. You would never say, I am jump, because it mixes the state of being with an action. It makes no sense.
Exactly.
You simply say, I jump. The person is doing the action directly.
Right. Or think about the action word run. You do not say, I am run. You just say, I run.
Exactly.
So if we apply that exact same logic to our dictionary trap, you should never say, I am agree. You just say, I agree.
Let's listen to how that sounds in incorrect English versus natural English. I think that will help.
Good idea.
If you copy-paste from Spanish, you might say, I am agree. That is the literal translation trap. The natural, correct English way is simply, I agree.
So we just remove the am entirely, We throw it in the trash. I agree.
Simple as that.
But wait, what if we need to say no?
Ah, the negative.
Yeah, in the ESL notes, it says the negative form is where Spanish speakers get even more tangled up. If I try to use the dictionary trap to say no, I'm going to create an even more confusing sentence.
The research shows this is where the frustration really begins for adult learners. If someone translates literally, they might say something like, I am not agree.
Oh, I've heard that one.
Or they might try to mix the words and say, I am disagree. But remember the action word analogy you just brought up? You do not say, I am not jump.
Right, that sounds terrible. I am not jump.
Yeah.
So how do we actually form the negative? What is the correct way to tell someone that you do not share their opinion?
Because agree is an action verb, we have to use a helper word to make it negative.
A helper word.
Yes. In English, that helper word is do. So to make it negative, we say do not. Or the shorter, more common version, don't.
Okay, so do not or don't.
Exactly. The correct English phrase is, I do not agree. Or simply, I don't agree.
I don't agree.
You can also use the opposite action word, which is disagree. So you could say, I disagree.
Let me repeat that slowly. So if I hear an idea I dislike, I have two great options. I can say I don't agree, or I can say I disagree.
Perfect.
And notice, neither of those options uses the word am. The word am is completely gone from the conversation.
It really is much simpler than trying to map the Spanish grammar onto the English words. You just let the action word do its job.
This issue of forcing the word am into places it doesn't belong is fascinating. But as I read further into these linguistic studies, I noticed another massive trap.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
It is actually the exact opposite problem. Sometimes the Spanish brain wants to use a word for possession when English wants to use a state of being.
Yes, I know the exact section of the research you are looking at. You are talking about how we express age.
Yes. Age.
This is probably the single most frequent error in bilingual classrooms. Just as Spanish speakers use I am incorrectly for agreeing, they use the completely wrong verb for talking about how old they are.
Let's look at the mechanics of this one. In Spanish, when you talk about your age, you use the verb tener. For example, someone might say, tengo 25 años. The word tener translates directly to the English word to have.
To have.
Yes, it is a word used for possession. It means you own something.
So if a student falls into the dictionary trap and translates word for word, they look at tengo 25 años and they say in English, I have 25 years.
Which immediately tells a native English speaker that you are translating from another language. I have 25 years is incorrect.
Very incorrect.
But why? Why does the English language reject this idea of having years?
It comes down to how the different cultures view the concept of time in human life.
Okay, getting philosophical.
A little bit, yeah. In English, you do not possess years. You do not own them like objects. Instead, age is a state of existence.
The state of existence.
Yes, it is a description of the current condition of your physical body. Because it is a state of being, English requires the verb to be.
One of the ESL teachers in our sources used a really brilliant analogy to explain this to her students. I want to share it because it makes the concept so easy to visualize.
Please do.
She tells her students to imagine a backpack. You wear this backpack every day.
A physical space to hold the things you own?
Exactly. If you own an object, you can put it in the backpack. You can say, I have 3 books, because you can physically place 3 books into the bag.
That makes sense.
You can say, I have a phone, or I have 2 pens. But you cannot put 25 years into a backpack.
That is a fantastic way to illustrate the rule. You cannot hold a year in your hand. You cannot touch it or carry it on your back. Time is not property.
Right. You do not own the years. The years simply describe how long you have been alive. You just are that age. So you must use the state of being word. You use I am. Let's clearly lay out the incorrect and correct versions so our listener can hear the difference.
Good idea.
The literal translation trap, which we want to avoid, is saying I have 25 years. And the natural English reality is I am 25 years old. Or in everyday conversation, people usually just say I am 25.
Let's say that again. I am 25 years old. It is simple, clear, and perfectly natural.
You know, understanding the theory behind these rules is very helpful. Knowing why verbs and states of being work differently helps build a strong foundation.
Absolutely.
But our curriculum sources stress that knowing the rule is not enough. To really master a language, you have to see these rules working in the wild.
I agree completely. When I speak with language instructors, they always say that knowledge must be applied in context.
Right, you need context.
You need to hear how real people use these words in natural, everyday situations. It helps your brain move past the dictionary and into real communication.
Let's create a scenario to show both of our new rules in action. We can simulate a professional conversation.
Okay, a role play.
Yeah. Let's say we are coworkers sitting in an office discussing our team. I will play the role of a coworker named Alex, and you can play Sam.
I can do that. And we will keep the pace slow and deliberate so you can really hear the grammar structure we are using.
Okay, here is the scenario. I am Alex. I think we really need to finish the client project today before the weekend.
I completely agree with you. If we finish it early, we can relax tomorrow.
That is true. By the way, how old is the new manager they just hired?
She is 30, but she has a lot of experience in this industry.
Okay, let's step out of the role play and dissect what just happened.
There was a lot in there.
There is a lot of great English packed into that short exchange. First, let's look at the agreement rule. I shared my opinion about finishing the project. How did you respond?
I responded by saying, I completely agree with you. The most important thing to notice is what is missing.
DM.
Exactly. I did not say, I completely agree. I treated agree as the action word, just like we discussed earlier with jumping.
And you added a really useful descriptive word in there. You said completely agree. I want to point this out because it is a very natural way native speakers talk.
Yes, completely.
Completely is just an adverb, a word that describes the action. It is a smooth, professional way to say you agree 100%.
It adds emphasis. You can say, I completely agree, or I totally agree, or I strongly agree.
I strongly agree. I like that one.
Yeah. All those describe the action. But the core rule remains the same. The action word is agree, and there is no am anywhere in sight.
Then our conversation shifted to the second rule. We talked about the age trap.
Hmm.
I asked you, how old is the new manager? And how did you deliver the answer?
I said, she is 30. I used the state of being verb. She is 30.
She is 30.
I did not try to say she has 30. I did not suggest she was carrying 30 years around in a backpack. I described her current state of existence.
Well, wait, I noticed something really fascinating in the second half of your sentence. This might confuse some learners if we don't break it down.
Oh, about her background.
Yeah. After you said she's 30, you talked about her professional background. You said she has a lot of experience.
Yes, she has a lot of experience.
You used the word has. That is the possession word.
Yes, I did.
Why does English demand that you use a state of being for her age? She is 30, but it allows you to use a possession word for her experience. Why does she have experience?
That is a brilliant observation, and it really gets to the heart of how English categorizes abstract concepts.
Tell me more.
Earlier, we decided you cannot put years into a backpack. Time passes through you, right? You do not collect it.
Right, time is not an object.
But the English language views experience as a collection of valuable items.
Ah, so experience is something you can collect and own.
Exactly. Every time you finish a project or solve a problem or work at a new job, the English language treats that like a coin you have earned.
Nice.
You collect these coins of experience, you possess them, and when you move to a new job, you pack them up and take them with you. Therefore, experience is property. You have experience.
That makes so much sense. You cannot possess time, but you can possess the skills you learned during that time. The skills go in the backpack. The years do not.
Beautifully said.
When you stop looking at the dictionary and start looking at the philosophy of the words, the language actually becomes very logical.
It does. It stops feeling like a list of random rules to memorize and starts feeling like a new way to understand the world.
But philosophy only takes us so far.
Very true.
The true test of language learning is being able to apply these concepts in real time.
Practice makes perfect.
Right. Our sources from language instructors emphasize active recall. You cannot just listen passively.
Yeah.
You have to force your brain to do the work. So we are going to do a mental exercise right now.
Yes, a challenge.
If you are walking down the street or driving or washing the dishes while listening to this, I want you to actively participate in this challenge.
We are going to give you a sentence in Spanish. We want you to think about how you would translate it into natural English.
Do not fall into the copy-paste trap.
No dictionaries. Think about the rules we just discussed. Take your time and form the English sentence in your mind. Or, say it out loud.
Here's the first exercise. This is testing the age rule. The Spanish sentence is, Mi hermano tiene 18 años. I will say it again. Mi hermano tiene 18 años. How would you translate that into English without using the dictionary trap?
Think about the backpack analogy. Your brother cannot carry 18 years in his backpack. So you cannot use the word have or has.
If you used the literal translation, you might have thought, my brother has 18 years. But now you know the English reality. The correct answer is my brother is 18 years old
Yes.
because his age is his state of being.
Yeah.
You can also simply say my brother is 18.
Excellent. Now let's try the second exercise. This one is going to test the agreement rule, but we are going to make it a little bit harder by making it a negative sentence.
Oh, a negative sentence. Good luck.
Listen carefully to the Spanish. Ella no está de acuerdo contigo. I will repeat it. Ella no está de acuerdo contigo. How do you translate that into English?
This one often trips people up.
Mhm.
Think about the jumping analogy. If you want to say you are not doing an action, you don't use the word am or is.
If you fell into the dictionary trap, your brain might have tried to say she does not agree with you. But agree is an action.
Yeah.
So we need our helper word.
The natural English translation is she does not agree with you. Or, using the shorter version, she doesn't agree with you. You could also use the opposite action word and say she disagrees with you.
Both she doesn't agree with you and she disagrees with you are perfect. And if you made a mistake and thought she does not agree, please do not worry.
No, don't worry at all.
Breaking a mental habit takes time, but now you have the tools to recognize the mistake and correct it the next time you speak.
That is the whole point of a translation detox. You are cleaning out the old habits and replacing them with a better understanding of how the language works.
Absolutely.
Let's do a final review of the core concepts we pulled from our ESL sources today, just to lock them in.
Sounds good. First, we learned that the word agree is a verb. It is an action you take, just like running or jumping. Because it is an action, you never mix it with the state of being.
Right.
You never say, I am agree. You simply do the action. I agree.
And second, we learned that English views age as a state of existence, not a possession. You cannot hold years in your hands. So you never use the word have for your age. You use the verb to be. You say, I am 25 years old.
Looking at these lessons, I think the biggest takeaway from all the linguistic research is that learning English is not a mathematical equation.
It's not just swapping one word for another.
Right. It is not just swapping a Spanish word for an English word on a piece of paper.
It is much deeper than that.
It is learning to view reality through a different lens. When you speak English, you have to adopt the English perspective. You have to understand that in this language, agreement is a movement, an action you perform.
Wow. Yes.
You have to understand that age is a condition of your body, not property you own. Once you understand the perspective, the grammar naturally follows.
That is a wonderful way to look at it. You aren't just memorizing rules, you are learning how a different culture categorizes the world.
Exactly.
And to wrap up our deep dive into these materials, I want to leave you with one final thought. A little puzzle for you to think about based on everything we learned today.
Oh, I love a good linguistic puzzle.
We spent a lot of time talking about how English treats age as a state of being, while Spanish treats it as a possession with the word tener. But think about other physical states. In Spanish, when your body requires food or water, what do you say? You say, tengo hambre, or tengo sed.
Ah, yes, tengo again, literally translated, that means I have hunger and I have thirst. Spanish treats those physical feelings as possessions.
Exactly. So, based on how we just learned that English treats the physical state of age, do you think English speakers have hunger sitting in their backpacks? Or do you think they treat hunger as a state of being? Do they have hunger, or are they hungry? The next time you are practicing your English, think about how the language views the different states of the human body.
That is a great question to leave with. It proves that once you see the pattern, you can start predicting how the language will work in other situations.
It really does. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into language interference and translation traps. We hope you feel a little more confident today.
Yes, definitely.
Keep practicing, keep speaking, and remember to leave that dictionary translation trap behind.